Good afternoon, folks. Meteorologist Hunter McCullough here for Northern News Now. This is our live streaming app, as well as all the information that you need here when it comes to beyond the forecast. We've got an interesting setup going on right now in the Atlantic Ocean, and I want to get right into this, exactly what is happening when it comes to two systems that are very close by together and how they interact with each other. So take a look at this video, kind of introing that anyway, and explaining this a little bit. Hey there, folks. Meteorologist Hunter McCullough here for Northern News Now. Something interesting happening in the tropics right now that I want to talk a little bit more about. The Atlantic Ocean, it's hurricane season, and we've seen at least a couple hurricanes, and now another hurricane is in the tropics down towards the Atlantic Ocean. And something interesting is happening with this hurricane, and let's talk a little bit more about it. So here's our satellite view from earlier this morning. At the time of this recording, this is a hurricane over here, Hurricane Ernesto. You can see there by my pointer. And then there's this over here, which is a whole blob of not really a hurricane or a tropical storm. It's weaker than that right now. It's not quite as organized, but it's expected to form into a tropical storm relatively soon here. Within the next 48 hours, likely, we'll be seeing this forming into a tropical storm. Now, these are kind of close together, if you notice here, and it illustrates it a little bit better here. So again, here's Umberto. I think I said Ernesto, but it's actually Umberto is the hurricane just off, again, in this area in the Atlantic Ocean. Then there's this disturbance. We call it a tropical disturbance when it's not a tropical storm or a hurricane. But it is expected to become a tropical storm. Now, these two are relatively close together, and when you see two separate hurricanes or tropical storms close together, they actually interact with each other, and it's a very interesting discovery here by a meteorologist in the early to mid-1900s who discovered what exactly would happen if two hurricanes came in contact with each other. So I'm going to explain to you exactly what happens when two hurricanes come into contact with each other, and we're going to likely see a little bit of that effect right here in our Atlantic Ocean, and it's going to likely make landfall somewhere along the Carolinas with this storm. So let's talk a little bit about this. This is called the Fujiwhara Effect, and again, named after the meteorologist that discovered it way back in the 1900s. And so the normal path of a hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean usually takes a northwest to northeast track. Sometimes it makes landfall, sometimes it doesn't, and then it goes into colder water off to the north. It dissipates, it moves on. That's usually what happens when we see a normal hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean. However, when we see two hurricanes or two disturbances, whether it's one hurricane and one tropical storm, two tropical storms, two hurricanes, whatever, when they are close to each other, this is the Fujiwhara effect. They tend to circle about each other at a common fixed center point. So with this example here, they have a common fixed center point of right here. So this is a made-up example, by the way, but this is generally what would happen if we did see two hurricanes that were close enough to each other to where this could happen. So they actually tend to circle each other, not quite that fast, but they do circle each other around that center point while they're still moving in a common direction as well. So they definitely have an influence on each other. Now, there's different scenarios of what can happen with these two hurricanes or tropical storms or whatever you want to call them. Sometimes they circle each other, maybe just a little bit, maybe just all the way around, and then they move on. They go their separate ways. Sometimes there's a stronger system and a weaker system, and sometimes the stronger one will just absorb the weaker one. The weaker one will dissipate, and you'll see it kind of come together with the strong one. You can also see them both dissipate. Also, another example are both are strong hurricanes, and they can actually strengthen into one, and that is a very rare case and not expected to happen, thankfully, with this system, but definitely a possibility with this. But so that is an example of what the Fujiwhara effect is and how it might come into play with this forecast. And I'll be talking about the forecast and show you how this is expected to happen in just a little bit here right after the break.